and we're now recording. And this, just so you know, this video will get edited, dropped on YouTube, and then shared with you all.
Great.
So if you find Building Bellingham podcast, and then just share the live video, and then we're good to get rolling here. All right. Do you find that all right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, Eric, thank you so much for joining me today on the Building Bellingham Pivot series here.
Thanks for having me.
We're going through some changing times, and there's a lot that, well, first of all, I'm a huge fan of what you all do out there at Bellewood Acres and Bellewood Farms.
Thank you.
And we'll dive a little bit more into how the business runs, but tell me a little bit more about who you are, where you're from. How'd you end up in this area and running an events and farm and apple orchard?
Yeah. Well, we're originally from California, actually Los Angeles area, and born and raised, and we raised our kids there. My grandpa had a citrus orchard there, and even though we lived in the big city, we always taught an appreciation for the land, and we had our own little gardens and animals and things like that, kind of farm, mini farm there in the city. And my son and I, after moving to Seattle several years back, had started getting interested in food and food production and community food systems. There's an author named Michael Pollan who wrote Omnivore's Dilemma, and we started listening to him, reading some of his material, and realizing that food is really much more than nourishment. It has to do with richer concepts in life, like family and getting together with friends, and the richness that comes from this interesting thing called food. And so we became interested in food and agriculture, and we decided to try our hand at that by acquiring a company that had been a farm that had been up in Linden here, Bellewood Acres, been here as sort of a beacon in the community, and worked with the previous owners, John and Dory Bilal, to transition and to acquire Bellewood Farms, and to really just keep the charm and keep the community appeal to it, but then also add some of our own awesome things. It's a family-run organization. My son Blake and myself, and our wives Janelle and Julie, and we have run what is a pretty complicated business. It has lots of moving pieces here.
Yeah. So when we look at simplicity and the complexity of businesses, what would be a simple business? And tell me more about how your business is complex, because I know you have multiple legs of your business. It's not just one product. It's a huge array of different services and products.
Yeah. Primarily, we have the farm, and that's our first priority, the agriculture. And we have 62 acres, apple orchards here in Linden, but also we have 17 acres or so in Ferndale. And that is right now sort of business as usual. We're just doing a great job trying to make sure those apples come around for harvest. And then we also operate a cafe where we serve breakfast and lunch. We're an events center where we invite the community to sort of rent out our venue for weddings and corporate parties and things like that. We have a little store where we sell our apples and our cider and various gifts and food products from the local community. And then we have our distillery where we take and make spirits from our apples. And we have a tasting room here where people can come by and purchase our spirits as well. And then part of our business too is a wholesale business that we sell to local stores. Like we have a partnership with Hagen where they buy our Honeycrisp apples, and we have partnerships with the food co-ops, and we go down as far as King County with some of our apples as well.
Very nice. And I'm a huge fan of your Honeycrisp apples. In fact, I think we were talking about this before when we originally touched base, and my wife and I joked about how those Honeycrisp apples are like a meal and a half.
Yeah, they are.
What's your favorite apple outside of a Honeycrisp? Because I know Honeycrisp is like everybody's favorite, right?
Yeah, we have a kind of a farm favorite that a lot of people don't know about. It's called the Suguru. It's a Japanese apple. It starts with a T, T-S-U-G-A-R-U. And it's just a delicious, sweet apple. It's got just a hint of tartness to it. And people that know the apples know that one. Everybody has their sort of apple favorite. It's funny to see people that come here during the fall season. They're dying to have the Macintosh. So we have the Macintosh people, and we have the Fuji people, or the Sugru with Honeycrisp people. But yeah, Sugru is a sort of a farm favorite.
Nice. So you actually have groups of people that are, it's like a cult following of a specific apple.
Yeah, a lot of it has to do with their heritage, how they were brought up. Of course, being in Linden, we have a lot of Dutch community here, and they like the Boskoop and Gravestein apples. We have 21 varieties, mostly Honeycrisp. Like 55% of our crop is Honeycrisp, but yeah.
Because that's my go-to. I mean, you can't not like Honeycrisp, right?
Yeah. Well, put that in the refrigerator, and then get some of our caramel dip, and man, that's delicious.
Ooh, that sounds right up my alley. Well, so you ended up in Linden. So you got to Seattle from LA and LA area. You got to Seattle. What did you do in Seattle, and why did you stop doing that? Or was it the draw from the world of food?
Yeah, most of my career and my son's as well was in marketing and branding and product development. And we saw the potential of Bellewood Acres, some things that we could do that would kind of propel this organization. We have always been interested in community food systems. As you can kind of tell from what I was sharing earlier, this idea of food on a different scale, food on a richer scale. We think of mass-produced food a lot of times, things coming from different parts of the country. And how cool is it, though, if we could be part of a community and provide our food to the community, and in turn, the community provides other food and services to us. And so there's this idea of a community food system. And so when we think about building a brand or the potential of Bellewood, we aren't thinking in terms of big national brands and things like that. We were thinking more in terms of a regional brand, kind of keeping it small, or basically taking advantage of what we could just within our local community. And community can be defined as Whatcom County, but also Skagit, and even down to King County.
And for you, coming from larger cities, because I'm also from Seattle originally, so I know what it's like to move from a larger city to a community like this. What was it like for you to move to a community like this? And were people reaching out and very accommodating and collaborative when you got here?
Yeah, well, we had heard that the rumors of, oh, you're from California or from Seattle or something, and you're going to get ousted from the community. But really, we have found just the opposite, that this community is super warm, inviting, really appreciate the sort of the services that are offered to people, especially farmers. And you've got your just their whole infrastructure around farming and services that provide you with things. And they are really super great partners. Even the grocery stores like Hagen, they're a really like sort of a big store with a small mindset, and they've been a great partner, and they've just really just taken us under and just essentially the community is loved up on us from all different angles. And so we just, part of it could be just our mindset going into, so that was really what we wanted to do. We wanted to be part of a community and kind of fit in and just do a great job for everybody here. So yeah, we've been loved in return.
Awesome. That's always a good feeling when you put out good energy, good product, good all around, and it comes back, right?
Yeah.
So we had talked about on a previous episode this idea of a drive-through, and I know having a complex business can seem like it can be overwhelming. I'm sure sometimes to have, oh gosh, okay, we focused on this today, now we have to focus on this tomorrow. What's that like running basically, what did you say, 5 different businesses?
Yeah. Five different business units. It's you have to rely on the team. You have good managers over each place and each business unit, and rely on the teams. They're in the front lines, and they know what's going on, and learning how to lead with that in mind is something that you got to learn to do. You've got to be able to trust those that you've empowered to do a great job. It can be challenging to have all those different business units because there's just so many different. You're getting pulled aside on different things all the time. But if you come back to really what your priority is and your mission as an organization, it makes it a lot easier, especially if you can get your staff and the team all kind of on that same page. For instance, our biggest priority is the agriculture. And that's one of the reasons why we changed our name from Bellewood Acres recently to Bellewood Farms, because we want the community to know that that's the most important thing that we do. Additionally, when it comes to your mission as an organization, really getting everybody in your team focused on those core values and your mission really helps to move the ball forward within each of the business units and causes less sort of friction. Our mission statement is pretty simple. It's just bring delight to everyone. And that is in every single business unit, of course. And that has to do with bringing delight to customers, of course, but really bring delight to fellow team members and pretty much everybody you come in contact with in the community, including vendors and things like that. So anyways, I think all that to say that, yes, it's challenging with different business units, but it's easier when you have rely on solid people and solid managers, and also you rely on your mission statement to sort of be the thread that weaves in between all of them.
Yeah. And how did you create that mission statement? What was going, it's an awesome mission statement. It's simple and it's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come up with that?
Wow. I don't know. I think we just sort of brainstormed it as a team. I think the idea of bringing delight works well with food and is really something that we kind of appreciate as people ourselves. We love when people delight us, but we also find satisfaction by doing things for others and delighting them. So it really fit all of our business units nicely.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've been thinking a lot about, and I don't know a whole lot about the agriculture and the farm world, but we've had this, and I don't want this to all be about COVID-19, but I think there's a lot of positives that are coming out of this, and a lot of collaboration that's coming out of this. There's a lot of sadness and tragedy that comes along with it. But what I want to focus on is we had this kind of hit it as a wall, right? All of a sudden, as an event center, you can't have people more than X amount of people, more than 250 people. It was 10 people, right? And it really limits those avenues of business. And how important was it to have your metaphorical drive-through, like Wes was talking about, where no matter what, people can still utilize your services? And then also, how did you pivot, other parts of your business to stay in production and stay bringing delight to people?
Yeah, I think, again, it's sort of kind of backing up, less being about the specifics of what we did, but just sort of the mindset kind of going into it as leader entrepreneurs. I've been around a while and been in business for a while, and just the realization in life that we were made sort of for a time like this, and that everything that I've done in the past, everything we've done at Bellewood in the past has sort of brought us to this point. Whether it seems scary or not at the time, it's where we're at. And so kind of coming to that point to say, okay, past is the past, we have to move on. And we as leaders, I think entrepreneurs are risk takers with finances. A lot of times we don't think about being sort of risk takers when it comes to other parts of our business, but we are. The idea of being open to change and being tolerant of change. A lot of your staff and managers and things like that are not as open to change. They're more change adverse. In fact, we want them to kind of build systems and do it all the same all the time. But leaders, since we're more willing to change and more interested. In fact, we can kind of board easy and want to do something new. And
change junkies, right?
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of times this sounds sick, but then you look at the problems that we're having. Some of us, I know me, I look at that as a challenge to be able to say, oh, well, this is kind of cool. How can I be creative? I mean, at first it's kind of shocking. And then, but how can I be creative and come up with some ideas to keep this place afloat, keep our employees staffed, really try to grow, because we've been growing like 30% this year, and all of a sudden everything just comes to a screeching halt. How do we work in that? So part of it's just the creativity that you have, and coming up with ideas and ways to sort of pivot and work around that. So anyways, I think part of it is just it's kind of like looking at what you have left and saying, how can you work with that?
Yep.
The government has taken away some of your freedoms. You've got basically a certain amount of staff you've had to lay off, which was horrible, one of the worst things ever. And you've got an existing staff, you've got an existing facility, you have existing equipment. What can you take and piece together like a Lego thing to make it like awesome, cool, something that the community will like, but also help the community? And that's one of the ways we pivoted part of our business, and that was our distillery. And I don't know if you want me to share a little bit about how that happened, but yeah. So our distillery, we had to shut down our tasting room, which is a primary part of our business for the distillery. People come in, they have tastes, and they buy our spirits, and it's a good way to introduce them, educate them about the farm too. And that got shut down with all of this. And not only that, later on, we come to find out that the wholesale part of our business on the spirit side became very slow or almost vanished, because restaurants were closed. They can't buy our spirits and things like that. The sheriff's department came to us early in March, and said, hey, there's this thing called COVID. We're thinking everything's going to shut down. We cannot find any sanitizer. How can you guys make it? We heard distilleries can make it, and we hadn't even really thought about it. And this was early on, and we said, sure, let's just do it. So Whatcom County sheriffs came into our distillery with their guns.
Yeah.
And they said, can you guys just make some sanitizer for us? So because we make our regular cider, we had gallon jugs available, and we just looked up, I just Googled it and looked at what the CDC, Center for Disease Control, had said as far as alcohol content. And we just started making a hand sanitizer in our distillery, and it was just great. So we said, well, you know what? I bet you our community could benefit from this. There's certain fears that we had as a family, fears of COVID, fears. I'm sure our community feels the same way. What would happen if we could be sort of a light in the community to just give away sanitizer? So we started taking what is essentially vodka, and researching what it's necessary to make more of a legit hand sanitizer, in keeping with sort of the FDA regulations, and really wasn't very complicated. We had to acquire all the things to go in it and things like that, and all the bottles and things like that to make a spray. But we quickly ramped up our distillery to become full-time hand sanitizer makers. And we gave away thousands of gallons, and then we now are making it for medical and construction, and our distillery is full-time making hand sanitizer.
Did you ever think that would be happening?
No, we didn't at all. And again, it's one of those things where it's fun for us, but you have to sort of, with your staff, even with our distiller, he's going, what? You want us to do what? And so it's sort of a change process for your staff to say, hey, okay, we need to change here, and we need to adapt, and again, focus back on our mission as an organization to bring delight to everyone. How can we, in this situation, bring delight to our community? And this was just a great way to do it, and everybody got on board with it. And we're just excited to be able to provide the community with this. It just gives them confidence, It's like, I'm not sure at the end of the day if hand sanitizer, I mean, it definitely kills germs, but I don't know, at the end of the day, if it, one way it can change people is through killing germs, but it also can change people through their confidence and help them to sort of stifle their fears to sort of get through the day, to be able to know that there's this little thing here, hand sanitizer to help them.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that's amazing. How many gallons? We had talked a little bit about this before, but how many gallons have you produced?
Yeah, we've gone through 5,000 gallons of hand sanitizer, and our raw materials, pretty much everything we make here are byproducts of our apples. Other than our honey roasted peanut butter, which is delicious, but
I have
we
had
make
that, and it is out of this
yeah,
world.
yeah. Our Honey Crisp apple chips, our apple pies, our distillery products, our brandy and our vodka and things like that, all are made from apples. And so we're in a unique situation too, in that we make what we call totes, which are 250 gallons each. We make in advance a bunch of totes of apple cider, basically, that's being fermented. And we set that aside for our busy season coming up in the fall. And we had raw materials available to us. Other distilleries are doing something similar, but I feel bad for them too, because they're having to acquire a lot of raw materials, grains and things like that. But we actually have the raw materials here already, which was so good.
Yeah. Well, and for someone like you that, you've been in business for a long time, how have you learned from experience to weatherproof your business? Because, and maybe this was it just happened to be the way you were already running your business, but it's a more proactive stance to these type of situations. How do you prepare yourself and prepare your business and prepare your family for these types of, situations?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if we were really super prepared, except that our mindset, like I was sharing earlier, this idea that as a family, we kind of feel this way. We kind of run towards danger a lot of times, and I think we're sort of made for a time like this. So I think we were uniquely fit for that. But also, again, the mindset of the community, and realizing that how do we respond to fear? We're fearful for our own health, or we're fearful for our family, our grandchildren, and what would support us? And the thought of somebody coming alongside us, like in the community, making hand sanitizer, and our store being open, which has really been a blessing, and being able to have some limited contact with people. So those things really helped us. But as far as preparing, I think a lot of it just has to do with having a good, just being able to know how to sort of react and respond to crisis, making a quick plan. I think that was another thing. We practice this throughout our business, and that is making plans for each of our projects that we work on, Easter celebrations or different things like that. And we have a kind of a system in place for making those plans. And so we were able to quickly sort of whiteboard out, what are we going to do in each business unit? And just within a matter of a few hours, we kind of brought all the staff in and said, this is what we're going to do. And we flexed a little bit with that too, but generally that was the plan. And it gave the staff confidence to sort of rally around it, get excited about it. So I guess that really doesn't answer your question completely, except that I think that being able to move quickly, I think it was something that we were kind of wired for, and actually was beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked a little bit about fear, and if you don't mind, tell me a little bit more about like what fears have arisen from this for you, and how have you handled that? How have you coached your team, your family? I mean, how do you lead through chaos?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I think a lot of it is, the challenge of the staff was a big one, and really laying off people is just very, very hard for me. And I don't know why. It's maybe because I'm more of a relational person, but it's not easy to not give a person a job. And so I think that being focused on the mission is the best way to lead through chaos. I think, just to be able to say, I mean, if you don't have a mission statement, you should, because, and go through the pain to make one. And don't be afraid of it having to change and adapt that mission statement over time. And if you can rally people behind this mission statement, I think that's a way to weather the storm, is to be able to say, hey, our goal, why we're here in this community, is to really bring delight to everyone. And it doesn't matter what happens to us. What matters is that we're bringing delight to people. And that's one of the best ways, is to just focus on your mission statement and your core values. Our core values are innovation and excellence and humility. And those are our 3 core values. And to really kind of reflect on those, and you as a leader to bring those back to everybody's attention. Say, hey, through this process, we need to be humble people. We need to really be innovative and think of some new ideas, and just say, whatever we do, let's just make an excellent job of it. And so getting just back to the core, getting back to the basics is the most important thing, especially when it comes to staff. And then, when it comes to government and government regulations, that is also one of the challenges, because through the process, we've got USDA, through the FDA, we have all the liquor control boards. Everybody is sort of the expert on this. And, who do you believe? Which laws do you follow? It can get kind of confusing. So I think when it comes down to it, you have to take a risk when it comes to, even with regulations, to say, hey, I'm just going to step out and do the best job I can based on what I think the spirit of the law is, or the rules the government wants me to do, and just ask for forgiveness later, I guess, kind of thing. Is you got to be able to take some risks with that as well. And then with the finances, so basically it's staff, you've got regulation, that's a challenge, but then with the finances is to be able to, it takes some concentration. A lot of people think, oh, your business is slow now because your cafe's closed, your tasting room's closed, or you don't have any events. But man, I've worked harder than ever at this, just because it takes so much focus on the detail of making sure we're spending each penny wisely, and making sure that we're looking for any opportunity just to eke out a little bit more revenue here, or come up with some creative ideas. So.
Yeah. And so you've created this new revenue stream, you've pivoted the distillery to be all about sanitizer.
Yeah.
What other like pivot points have you had? Like, how have you been able to find opportunity in this? I know, and I can definitely attest to, people say, are you slower? Like, no, working 6.5 days a week right now. So I understand that.
Yeah.
What other points in the business have you found opportunity in those different sectors of your business?
Yeah. So basically, we were able to conduct business as usual on the farm, and we have a specialty store that remained open, which was so great, and allowed us the store to sort of be a focal point for all that we were going to try to come up with as far as ideas go. For instance, our tasting room is closed, but that means we can't sell spirits because we don't sell spirits in the store. So we were able to pivot and move our spirits out into the store, and that way we could take advantage of some spirit sales. But probably the biggest thing is we knew we kind of didn't want to compete on the limited takeout business that was out there. We just for our cafe to make sandwiches and have people come and pick them up. And so we came up with an idea early on to take some of our best-selling products and create take and bake. People already knew us for our take and bake pies and fruit pies. They would just take one of our apple pies home. There was instructions inside. And so we were able to bring back our chef and 2 of our restaurant kitchen employees. And we've been putting them to work a few days a week, just making some of our more savory items, and and cinnamon rolls and pot pies and chili and our chicken curry soup. And we have a nice freezer section in our store, a freezer as well as a refrigerated section. And we were able to have that in the store. And so that was just a way to bring back some of our staff, make some new types of products for our community, and have them, the community, sort of take advantage of that. So they can come by and get some hand sanitizer, and then go and get one of the savory pies for dinner. And anyways, that's another way that we've been able to pivot, is to pivot our cafe into more of a take and bake thing.
Awesome. And for you, okay, so I want to get you to step on the other side of the table. You're a customer. You're driving down the guide. You're Googling, oh, Bellewood Farms, awesome. You pull in. What's your ideal day at the farm? Like, what would you do if you had, 2 to 4 hours? Where would you go? For people that do know about it, they know what they're going to do there either way. But for the person that's like becoming more familiar with your brand, what does that day look like?
Well, we're in the center of Whatcom County, which is nice because you can get to us from any place pretty easily. And our property here is really pretty. We have a Mount Baker view. We have tons of parking. Our store is kind of an open environment. It's crowd free right now, and it's a beautiful place where people can come and just walk. We have what we call a tire garden, where kids can jump around on the tires. We have a huge acreage area that people can take a walk out to the orchard and look at the blossoms. We have a conservation area that we created along 10 Mile Creek. It's just filled with pine trees. It's a walking trail path, and people can run and jog and bring their strollers out, and it's a very safe and open environment, almost like a city park. So that's what's going on here right now. We can have the store open where people can come in and purchase a good selection of beer and wine and spirits, and then all of those savory things and our apple pies, and grab a gift for mom for Mother's Day or whatever. Mm-hmm. But so I would say that probably the coolest thing we have going right now is all the goodies in the store, but then also how cool the environment is. You can just go and walk around, and it's so pretty right now out here.
Be outside. And Eric, what do you look forward to most about whatever's on the other side of being out of quarantine? What do you look forward to the most out of that? Yeah.
It's funny because I would love all of these restrictions to be limited, opened up right now as far as our cafe and things go. But on the other hand, I was reflecting about this today, and that was this idea of, hey, this has really made us to be kind of lean, which is cool. As a company, it allows us to be creative and rethink some of the things that we have been doing, and wondering if some of the things we've been doing in the past have really been the best thing. So I really like that, being able to kind of rethink things. It sort of turns things upside down, this whole thing. But on the other hand, it would be nice to sort of get back to bringing our staff back on and getting our cafe up and running, and looking forward to probably that day. I may do business a little differently, but we may have a whole sanitizer division after this. But in fact, our brand, we came out with our hand sanitizer called Farm Hands, and we're talking about
I love it.
Extending that to I don't want to be promotional at all on this, but you can kind of see the branding on it. It's called Farm Hands, and talking about other personal products like lip balm and things like that we could come out with that have been kind of come out of this, and looking forward to marketing those. We also have some new spirits that we have come out with, coffee liqueur and aged gin, that aren't on the market yet, but just waiting for this all kind of to go away, and so that we can release those with a little bit more enthusiasm. I'm looking forward to continuing some of the good systems we put in place through this process, and having those be part of not just the crisis time, but having those systems be part of our ongoing business.
Yeah, it's kind of like the someday maybe list was sped up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
So people can come in the store, obviously, and you guys are right off up the guide.
The guide, yeah.
What's the crossroads? I know there's a east-west road right before.
Yeah, there's Pole Road. It's not too far from us. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Pole Road.
so people could come in obviously and find all of these items that we're talking about at the store, but also they can go online, and that's bellwoodfarms.com,
That's
and
right.
all of the links will be in the post. So for anybody
Okay.
that's watching this or will watch this, they can find you there,
Yeah.
and then also on Facebook at Bellewood Farms and Bellewood Acres,
Hmm.
and or is it just Bellewood Farms?
Yeah. Well, I think Facebook actually says Bellewood Acres, kind of a legacy from before we changed our name, but Bellewood Acres. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And yeah, we also have e-commerce. So any of our products or several of our products you can buy online as well through our e-commerce site.
Awesome. And I'm looking here on bellewoodfarms.com. We've got the Farm Hands hand sanitizer bottle, and you get 3 bottles as a part of
Yeah.
that package, it looks like.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
definitely, if you're going online, don't skip that honey roasted peanut butter. That is, my wife and I just dip apples in that all the time, and
Yeah.
it's out.
Yeah.
But Eric, thank you so much for joining me today on the Building Bellingham Pivot series and
Oh,
sharing your journey through all of this.
thank you. Well, thank you for doing all you're doing to just help businesses and people to have more confidence in their businesses and especially during these tough times.
Yeah, and please let me know if there's anything that we can do to continue to showcase your awesome business. And like again, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person here at some point,
Yeah.
and put some sanitizer on, shake hands, right? Yeah. But
That's good.
Eric, thanks for joining us today, and thanks everyone for watching. And
All right.
please let us know if there's any questions. If you'd like to reach out to Eric directly, I can get you in touch with Eric as well. Any questions about Bellewood Farms and what they do?
Yeah. Thanks, Leo.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
All right.